It is my honor and privilege to introduce Commissioner Basil Sagos of the Department of Environmental Conservation.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Sean Mahar, way back many years ago when this journey here in Hoosick Falls started. Sean was our what were you? Minister of Propaganda at the time, Director of Communications, and he's climbed over the years to be now Executive Deputy Commissioner. And as I look ahead 2 plus weeks to the end of my time at DEC, Sean will be around, continuing to fight the good fight. He's been an amazing asset to the agency. He's been ubiquitous in this part of the county, part of the state. I don't know how many times he's been here, but certainly knows the man of Kent and everything in between, and has helped to build a level of trust within the agency and certainly within this part of the world. So thank you, Sean.
Thank you, sir.
Some folks that aren't here as well. I'm just going to rattle off a couple people who played a really big role over the last few years. Tom Berkman, General Counsel. Some of you may know him. Martin Brand, who's since retired. He was our Deputy Commissioner for remediation. Also, Gene Leff was Deputy Commissioner for Mediation, passed away several years ago. I've had 4 Chiefs of Staff and 4 Executive Deputy Commissioners. I won't go through all of them. But we've had a lot of staff on this, of course. Ian Belby. Ian, where are you? Amazing work in the Division of Environmental Remediation. Tony Luisi, who's our Regional Director as well. Tony, right there, fantastic Regional Director, used to be a Regional Attorney. And then, of course, my counterpart in the Cabinet, DOH Commissioner Jim McDonald. Jim, great to have you here as well. We're in a really great part of the world and a truly great village here. Mayor Rob Allen, who I'm proud to call a friend. We've been working very closely together really over the years, and just so thrilled to be able to share the microphone today with him, as well as Mark Surdam, Town Supervisor. Again, we go back to the beginning on this, so I'm proud to be here with them both. Patrick Daly, Chris Bettis, who formed a very important partnership together with the SIPWIG, as you'll hear more about that shortly. That citizen participation working group that helped to guide some of the work that we've done over the years. Former trustee, Brian Bushner. Brian, where are you? Brian was one of those tough but fair early leaders and helped to pave the way for us in this village as we went through some really difficult times. So I'm really grateful for his friendship. This also wouldn't have happened without a really courageous person. Mike Hickey, over here. Mike Hickey had the courage to stand up early on in the PFAS crisis before anyone knew what PFAS was. Mike spoke. Mike worked with Dr. Martinez, who has since passed away, and elevated the issue of PFAS in this village to a national issue. And we wouldn't be here today, certainly talking about the progress we made without Mike. So we give him a big round of applause. So there is a little bit of poetry here. I will say that. When I first took this job as commissioner back in late 2015, about 2 weeks after that, we had a deputy commissioner came in the office and said, "We've got a problem in Hoosick Falls with this thing called PFAS." I say it's poetry a little bit because I'm leaving in 2 weeks, and I get the chance to be here to break ground on really the beginning of the end of this crisis. This is probably the toughest moment that our agency ever had. To have a village lose its water supply. Many of you that are here today can speak from the heart about what that must have felt like if you're living in this community to actually lose your water supply and to have the fear of those contaminants that were once in chemical processes working their way through the water system underground, unseen, into your bloodstream and potentially impacting your health and the health of your families. It was a scary time. It was 2 weeks after I started, and I remember the coming here for the first time and feeling the fear in the community, the fear that people felt about their futures and about their livelihoods and businesses and their property values. And it took a bit of courage, I think, on everyone's part to say, "Hey, we're going to try to fix this. We're going to try to roll up our sleeves and cut through the clamor, cut through the infighting, and mobilize." And that's exactly what we did. We did that collectively, everyone that you see here, and so many more. I can speak at least about DEC. We went from literally 0 people in the community to more than 600 DEC staff that we had embedded here over the course of months, month after month after month. We rented out the Ford dealership. If you all remember the Ford dealership, we rented that out. Kevin Frazier, where are you, Kevin? Kevin was one of the leaders in the Ford dealership where we had a command post, and we we quickly worked to put not the 600 staff just to sit around, but to put them into action. And it was some of the strangest collection of professionals that you can imagine. Of course, our engineers, great remediation specialists, communication specialists, but it was largely our forest rangers and our ECOs, Environmental Conservation Police, that were able to put in place a process to fix problems. And I think I told Dan a few weeks ago when he was in my office that we became the fastest growing plumbing company in North America for a short time. 800, it was at the time 800 POET systems, these personal treatment systems in people's homes. We got in there and did now it's 1,000 treatment systems in people's homes to quickly provide clean water to people while we're building the big system here, while we're going after the companies, while we're talking about how to fix this crisis and communicate effectively, and also bring, of course, the DOH, the great work they did on looking after people's health and doing blood testing. And Mayor, I said that I wouldn't leave until the job's done, and I hope that you see that. I hope that you see that we have not left. We are going to be here. I may be leading this job, but my team's going to continue to be here as we talk about this construction project that's underway now today and see it through to completion. Of course, see the remediation through to completion, which will take a long time. But the village and all of its residents can rest assured, and the town, that you have a strong partner in state government. So the water supply. I mentioned the treatment systems that we put in people's homes, and of course the big system here in town. That was some quick work. It required some quick engineering, but we knew we wanted to look for a very important backup source of water. That's something that the village leader, the town leader talked about quite a bit. The community talked about quite a bit. We had to put in place something that would provide not just peace of mind, but an actual backup system in the case that some of these technological marvels were to fail. So many of you probably remember the journey that we all took together trying to find that water supply, puncturing holes in the valley, traveling as far as Vermont, Massachusetts, looking for ways in which to pipe water into to the village. And it took time. It wasn't until we were able to locate some clean water in the valley here that didn't have hits of PFAS, that was providing enough water supply to maintain the village's needs, supply the village's needs, that we're able to settle on that. And of course, that took time. All of this takes time. We bring in the lawyers, the engineers, bring in the technicians. Designing a system like this is not a simple thing, especially in a built environment. But that's something we were able to do while pursuing the companies for costs. We had both Honeywell and St. Cobain on the hook for our costs, and we're able to ink a deal last year to have them cover the cost of our work here, $45 million. As well as $5 million for natural resource damages. So today, with all that, we get to break ground. Now the work is beginning today on that pipeline. That's going to, as you can see, run from here we are at the treatment plant all the way back to the source, back in the farmland along the river. So that will provide that source of water. We will not be turning off these systems here. The system here, the GAC system, the granular activated carbon system will remain in place. The people who want POETs in their houses, that will remain in place. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue our work, of course, to find all the sources of contamination here to make sure that this village is protected forever. I just want to take a moment to recognize what became of PFAS in New York State. I mentioned what Mike Hickey gave to us here by alerting us all to this problem. We are, I think, can be proud of the work that we did here collectively. But it was important not to let this crisis pass and just treat this as a one-off. We began looking for PFAS across the state. We began testing. We looked at 1,900 sources of potential contamination across the state. That's landfills and other potential sources. We did surveys of all the manufacturers of PFAS in New York State. We began finding it everywhere. It was in water supplies elsewhere. It's in landfills everywhere. It's in our air. It's in our water supplies at very low levels worldwide, not just here in New York. So that tenacity that Mike brought to us here really helped to explain the problem that we have here in New York, but also across the country. And it led to what is now a $5.5 billion Clean Water Infrastructure Act. It was the problem of Hoosick Falls that led the legislature and the governor to appropriate literally billions of dollars to fix this problem. It didn't end there. That led to the Bond Act, $4.2 billion now that the voters said yes to, at a rate of 70% of the voters saying yes to it. That doesn't happen unless you're connecting the dots to stories like this one and ultimately providing the public with a reason to make investments in the environment. And that's the importance of the work that we do when we're making those connections and building the trust locally, fixing problems, showing how public dollars can be put to work fixing problems. That's what happens. And of course, it led to water quality standards here in New York, but it also led to a national debate on water quality standards and the EPA taking action under President Biden. And that's still very much underway right now. There's more work to be done. There's no doubt about it. As I mentioned, we're just breaking ground today. So I'll be long gone as commissioner by the time this pipe is complete. But DEC will still be around. I know the DOH will be around. And you have this tremendous group of leaders here, both community leaders, elected leaders, who are going to continue fighting for this community for many, many years to come. So I want to thank you all for coming today. I want to thank you, Mayor, Supervisor, and the SIPWIG members, and of course, Jim McDonald, Commissioner of Health, for the incredible partnership here. Again, this could have gone sideways very early with some of the rancor that surrounded this discussion, some of the fear, and some of the outsiders that came in seeking to stir up fear and mistrust of government. But the people that are here decided to take matters into their own hands and lead. And leadership through friendships, leadership through trust, leadership through taking chances, and look what it led to. So take a victory lap, Hoosick Falls. This is for you. Thank you.
And now we'd like to have Commissioner McDonald come up and say a few words from the New York State Department of Health.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Commissioner Sigos. It is great to be here. You know, first and foremost, what a journey for the town of Hoosick Falls. You know, I think part of why we sort of acknowledge how important the adverse health effects of PFAS are is because of the work that was done here. And, you know, the Department of Health has been with you during this journey from the beginning, and we certainly intend to stay with you as this goes forward, you know, and I think it's just important to acknowledge all the hard work that occurred here. But this is a great example of when state and local governments partner together with like-minded individuals so we can accomplish something quite significant. You know, finding now the LaCroix Wellfield for a nice clean source of water, you know, in perpetuity is what it looks like, is a great gift. You know, everybody deserves clean water. Certainly people of Hoosick Falls have earned and deserve, you know, the best water we can come up with. So it's great to see that. I think, you know, one of the things that I just want to just echo a little bit is that monitoring is important. You know, we are happy to keep track of the monitoring here as well. We've been doing some monitoring of the folks who were involved in 2016, 2019 as well. But there's still monitoring going on today for people who need just want to have that assurance that their blood is okay and they need to be monitored here. We started that in February of 24, just last month, to allow people to have their blood monitored again here. And I can give you an email address later if you'd like to have that available to you. But I think it's been just a thrill for me to meet Mike Hickey, Mayor Allen, other leaders in the local community, just to see the hard work that went in to make this day possible here. And it's just great to see this. I think it's just a great example of how when we work together as a community, good things happen. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope we're all enjoying the balmy spring day here. I'm very glad to be joined here by Commissioner Sagos and McDonald, Supervisor Serdam, Superintendent Daly, members of the Village Board, as we celebrate and recognize another essential milestone in the response to the Hoosick Falls PFOA contamination. In a few moments, we're going to be commemorating the start of the construction of the new water lines, which will supply the village with its new water source. This is an important moment, many years in the making. In this marathon that our community has been running for nearly 10 years, we have hit many, many important milestones. Bottled water, the naming of PFOA and PFOS as hazardous chemicals, the temporary GAC system, the permanent GA system, the new water supply study, the development of new test wells, the record of decision. It is amazing to reflect and think of how long this race has been that we have been running. We're not quite finished yet, but we're definitely entering the last stretch of this race for the village. Future markers in this race include the completion of this project and our new water source going online, which we expect to be near the end of this calendar year. We're also beginning to have our discussions with the company, St. Gobain and Honeywell, with hopes of coming to a final agreement and final settlement. The finish line for the new water source for the village of Hoosick Falls is on the horizon. With such a long saga, it's easy to forget so many who were involved in this, in big ways or in small ways. We're approaching nearly 10 years since Michael Hickey put the village on the path forward to recovery and redemption when he discovered the major health risk of PFOA in our water contamination. I'm so deeply grateful for his work on this front throughout the years, not just for our community, but for our state and for our country. It's bittersweet not to have Dr. Marcus Martinez here with us today, another essential guiding force. Environmental attorney Dave Engel ended up being one of the first to offer legal guidance to Michael and Dr. Martinez, and his direction was so strong and so solid that a couple of years later, after his involvement with Healthy Hoosick Water, the village board brought him on to represent the village after a full and rigorous interview process with many candidates. I also think about the many community members, residents, board members, past and present, village and town, who've offered their work, their blood, sweat, and tears, just to name a whole bunch of wonderful people who all have amazing stories to play in this. Emily Marpy, Lorene Hackett, Ben Patton, Jamie Martinez, Karen Sprague, the late Robert Downing, Brian Bushner, Vanessa Lewis, Bob Decker, current board members Bobby Ryan, Deb Alter, Kevin O'Malley, Megan Walreed, Dan Shuttig, Doug Sauer, just to name a few of the many I've had the pleasure of working with. I think about our village water operators, Jim Hurlbert and Josh Magazzano, who have been the village's water operators every single day since this ordeal began, doing their absolute best to make sense of and roll with the situation. I think about our amazing village office staff who have persevered in the face of all of the extra work and the extra insanity. I think about our retired DPW Superintendent Neil Stoll and current DPW Superintendent Kenny Holbrook and our full DPW departments. I think of our partners at the county like Rich Elder, our partners at the various state agencies, a lot of the faces we've been seeing for so long, Ian Bilby, Sean Mahar, Justin Deming, Barbara Feinbaugh, just to name a few in the cast of hundreds. So many people who have done so much, and we are grateful to each and every one of you. I'm also deeply grateful and thankful for Commissioner Sagos and his work leading DEC, always focused on making sure Hoosick Falls received a new and proper water source. I'm sure it is not easy leading a state agency and navigating the various events and politics of the time. It's harder still to lead an agency through an unprecedented event, and the PFOA contamination crisis in the village and in the town was just that, unprecedented. To his credit and to the credit of the entire agency, they proved eager to listen to our community, open to hearing ideas and hopes from our local government, and they were able to recognize that the same old approach to a state agency responding to a water contamination crisis would not work for Hoosick Falls. I hope that one of the many things Commissioner Sagos is most proud of in his tenure leading DEC is that the agency was able to adjust, shift, and evolve to the complexity of the situations, the particulars of this dangerous contaminant, and the needs of our community. I'm very proud of the work Hoosick Falls has done in partnership with DEC, DOH, Governor Hochul's office, in responding to this crisis. While the race continues, we are proud of and recognize this moment and all who were involved. Congratulations again to Commissioner Sagos for his leadership and his time at DEC. Today, we celebrate Tomorrow, we resume running towards the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And on behalf of the town, we'd like to have Supervisor Surden come up to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. I'll just give a little word from a personal level because, yes, I've been town supervisor from the beginning, but I've also been a village resident from the beginning. So, and one of the ones who had to deal with the contamination within our body. You know, none of us asked for this. My wife and I both had some pretty high numbers, you know, but everything's working out the way that it should. You know, once they remove the contamination through the GAC system, we're seeing our numbers go down, as they said they would. My wife and I and many others have been a part of the health studies that are happening. We appreciate that. And, you know, we continue to see, we're looking forward to the next phase of the Department of Health coming out and testing their blood again, and we'll see where we are a couple more years after the fact. So, but so far it's been good. We're seeing some good results. From the town viewpoint, the cooperation with the state, it wasn't really cooperation. It was the state coming in. The leaders, many of whom are still here today, have become friends. I seek them out when we get together like this. It's nice to see them. Commissioner Sagos, I'm sure if I run into him anywhere, it'll always be a good hello and a hug, you know, as well as some others. They had a DEC. I don't want to start naming names. I'm going to leave somebody out. But it's been just an outstanding response from the state. And for the town, we didn't have the water supply system. It's each individual home that got the smaller version of the GAC. But as I said, you know, DEC mobilized at the old Haynes Ford, and wow, that was a small army that came in, and in a small amount of time put in nearly 1,000 of these systems into individual homes. And really, for us in the town, as the town leadership, it made things so much easier because we knew that the people weren't having to deal. If they chose to get a system, they got it, and it was separating the PFAS from their water, so they weren't dealing with it any longer at that point. So there's still some things left to do, but for the town, that was huge. And I can't say enough about how appreciative I am personally, and at that level as being the town supervisor, for the work that the state did by stepping in and helping us out every step of the way. It's very much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. And now I'd like to have Mr. Patrick Daly, who's co-chair of the Citizens Participation Work Group and Superintendent of Hoosick Falls Schools, come up to say a few words.
I'm going to be like Mark. I will forget people if I try to thank everyone that's participated in the entire time that this has taken place. Almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, when this happened, the students at the school were a very, very big part of this. If those remember all those years ago, and those students now that were on the stage working with Senator Marchione, Senator Gillibrand, are 26 years old now and 27 years old. My daughter was in kindergarten in Hoosick Falls when PFAS was discovered by Michael, and she is now a freshman in high school. And the reason I'm saying that is I guess I come back to, after listening to everyone speak today, is perseverance. It's very few times in New York State, and I've dealt with the state for quite a few years in different capacities, not as much with the DOH or DEC, but mostly with NICED, is perseverance and long-term commitments. And I will say the DEC under Commissioner Sagos and the DOH and from the CPWG, where I'm a co-chair now, but I have not been a co-chair for 9 years. That's just been recently with Chris Bettis and I as co-chairs. We have other co-chairs that were here over the years. It's just been the commitment in that time frame over all these years, from water source to medical monitoring, from working with the companies, the village, the town. And I just like to thank everyone involved in that, because something like this would not happen and would not be successful if they hadn't stuck to their guns, persevered through all of this, good times and bad, and now we're at the point where we can break ground on the final leg, as Mayor Allen said, looking at the finish line for the water source. I just want to thank everyone involved for that, from the school, from the CPWG, and as a resident of the town. So thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, we'd like to have the other co-chair of the Citizen Participation Work Group come up, Chris Bettis. Chris, would you like to say a few words? Come on. You didn't get the memo?
Just want to thank everybody. I'm fairly new to the co-chair also with Pat. It's been a lot of work going, and I think we're taking a good step in the right direction. Everybody up here today has been a big part of it, and we'll continue to keep going on it and fight the good fight and get us some clean water for good up here in Hoosick Falls. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to formally break ground, and we'll head over to the shovels, but we'll take a few on-topic questions now if anyone has any. We will take a tour of the filtration plant after we break ground, and we can do some other stand-ups inside if you need. But any top-level questions right now?
Yep. Can somebody break down what the implementation of the new lines will look like? Is it going to be done in segments, like, or all at once? What does that look like over the next year?
Sure.
Well, Ian can help to give us some input on that. But this is going to be stepwise. Obviously, it's quite a distance to go, and it's through through the built environment and across the river itself. So we'll break ground today. The work will continue apace, and we'll have some clean water pretty soon. Yep.
You have an end date for this plan?
It's going to be as soon as possible. I don't have an end date, but we're going to continue providing the public updates as we go.
How big are these water lines?
I think we're going to actually see some of the parts of it, aren't we, over there? It's 8 inch. 8 inch? Yeah, 8 inch. Any other on topics?
Well, the length of the system is what?
What's it, Dan? Dan, mile and a half, right? How much?
6,000.
Yeah, 6,000, a mile and a quarter.
Just over a mile.
Yep.
All right, let's head over. We'll break some ground. We'll go inside, take a tour. We can do some more QA then.
Outside edges. Get in there.
I think they're going to shoot it this way, guys, if we want to. Sorry. Nobody explained that to you. We're going to shoot it towards the building in the background. And then we'll go inside.
Mike, where you going? Come here. No, come here. You got to come here. We need your help with something for a second.
Trying to get away.
I need your opinion about these shovels. Okay, who's calling it?
Is everybody ready first?
No, 1 second. Okay.
Do we throw it at each other? What do we do?
I think we're going to end up scooping and throwing that way.
Yeah.
Right at the cameras.
But someone's got to call it.
Yeah, are you ready?
You'll do that,
I'll
so
call it out.
nice job.
All right. Is everybody all right? Everybody good? You good? Yep. All right. Everybody get a scoop. All right. Let's pose real quick for a photo, and then on 3 we're gonna throw. Okay? Where? Just gonna throw forward.
Right at Sean.
3, 2, 1.
One more?
One more.
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Woo. There you go. It's yours. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
All right.
I don't know why they came
That's what I was going to ask you guys.
Into a bigger picture. Tony, want to get into a bigger picture?
Yep, we're gonna follow in. So if anybody wants to come inside and see the GAC treatment plant, we're gonna go in and do a walking tour real quick. So kind of follow along. We're gonna follow in between the fence and the blue building. So just watch where you're stepping. All right.
I'll come back. What is it? Oh, it's just online? Yeah. I'll come back. There's Michael. We're going to go. All right. I've seen all this. We've got the golden rakes to clean all this up now.